Right. Why do you think judges because that in the 2009 semi-annual report, that was a big deal. A lot of judges seem to be late or tardy, not on time for court that day. I mean, why do you think they do that?
I want to speak specifically to the question that Russell asked, which was that is not the entire 6 months every day that we're saying that a specific judge took the bench at a certain time, as I just
This
stated.
is just representative of the times when you're there, what y'all observe, but that's not 100% of the time.
Correct.
So you're not attempting to portray that this is the judge's statistics for some particular 3-month period. You're just saying this is what y'all saw when y'all were there, which is about, I think you said about 25% of the time you feel like y'all are able to cover.
Well, we watched 25% of the cases.
Of the cases, okay.
However, for instance, David says he handles 7 or 8 cases on a given day. So he moves from courtroom to courtroom. So although he may watch 8 cases in that day in 8 different sections, obviously he's not there at the start time for every judge. So the data was only reported for when a court watcher was actually present in court, and it was a representative sampling, and it was over 40 observations for each judge. So it was in a 120-day working time frame. They were a third of the time someone was actually sitting in the courtroom watching what time the judge took the bench. And you'll note that some of the judges make a tremendous effort to be on time.
Okay, because if you had a job working at Shoney's, and you're supposed to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking at like some of your best judges. Judge Parker is 97% of the time, on time. Okay, so if you're on time 97% of the time, you're probably going to be cool. But I don't know how the employer's going to feel about that other 3%. But then you got, if I understand this, and these 3 judges in particular just seem like they're really tight. Judge Pittman, 96%. Judge Landrum Johnson in Division E, 95%. But, on the other hand, it looks like from what y'all put on here, Judge White and Judge Marullo seem like Judge Marullo's clocking in 10 o'clock or later. You got him 49% of the time. So let's say roughly half percent of the time. And Judge White is 56%. So these are judges maybe clocking in an hour or so late. I don't know if 9 o'clock is on time if I'm running my office and my staff's supposed to be there at 8:30 and I get there at 9. I know court starts at 9, but court opens at 8:30. And so I'm really wondering, how Judge Marullo or Judge White would do if they were forced to get a job in the private sector. You're saying in a way you're probably really being helpful to some of these judges because that seems like that's like half the time, right? They're late half the time?
50% is half the time.
Now, the other thing that I'm seeing, because the other judges, they all. There's some. Judge Herman is 90%. Judge Alarcon 78%. There are, I think, sometimes good reasons why you could run late. As an elected official. One could be because you worked late. If I worked till 11 or 12 o'clock at night, I might be a little bit late getting into the office in the morning, and I might get excused for that.
Russell, the other thing that I think is important for us to point out is that this is not saying that this is the time that the judge is arriving at the courthouse or this is the time that the judge begins their workday. What that statistic reflects is the time that the judge took the bench that day. So we're not representing that they're not in the courthouse. They may be taking on pretrial cases in chambers.
But that's the average time the judge took the bench. But so the judge start time report and the time took the bench is the same.
Well, there's an average time that they took the bench, which is one statistic that we presented, and that's taking all of the times that they took the bench and on average when did they get there out of the statistic. And then the start time one was actually breaking it down, and what we considered to be on time or was any time before 9:29 was the on time. So if a judge took the bench at 9:28, that was an on time taking the bench. So we're giving them a 29-minute leeway in the first they should take the bench between 9 and 9:29. So if it shows on time, it was the first 29 minutes of the day. Then the next statistic is from 9:30 to 9:59, and then an after 10 a.m.
This stuff is amazing. You know, if like a person like myself that goes to court almost every day, like forever, it's very interesting because as much time as I've spent in courtrooms, I never really have time to watch a trial. I don't really know what's going on in all the other divisions of court around me, or even with the other attorneys. You know, I'm just there for even though I'm in court practically every day, I don't really know what you know. So I gotta ask you. This is just in your opinion, what are these judges doing? I mean, I'm looking at the average start time. It looks pretty good to me when I look at the average time the judge took the bench. You know, 10, 9:30, 9:20, 10, 9, 9. Judge Parker is like in there at 8:30. That's a little, you know. But I'm just saying. It looks like the judges seem to be starting. You know, as I look at it as a trial attorney, between 8:30 and 10 o'clock is pretty normal time in our community for judges to start. I mean, are the judges there and doing pre-trials, or are the judges coming in at the last minute and everyone's waiting for them? What's going on?
Well, the judges...
General, this is just your personal opinion, no statistics, David, okay?
The majority of the judges are there taking a bench. I don't think that one judge in particular, she may be there, start a court at 9:30, 10 o'clock. But I have to give the benefit of the doubt the fact that, as you stated earlier, she's there late in the afternoon than the other judges there. She's always there
Who's
in
that?
the afternoon. Judge White.
Yeah, Judge White. Yeah, she strikes me.
Yeah.
I've had some cases with her.
Yeah.
Pretty hard-working judge. So you're not really. Okay, so you're not really trying. I mean, the judges look like they're all pretty hard-working then over there.
One of the things that I think that we also want to reflect on this is, Russell, is this is one factor of the judge's behavior. This is not
Right.
saying whether a judge starts at a certain time is a good thing or a bad thing. Our goal is not to have a position on any of these things. We're a reporting avenue for the public. And what I will tell you is when you have these discussions out socially and you talk about going to court, I will tell you that from a personal standpoint, not me, Courtwatch, NOLA, but me at a party socially, say I'm a lawyer, people are constantly frustrated by the waiting time. You have citizens that are waiting to testify. They've had to take off from work. They're sitting there for an hour not knowing what's going on. You have an entire jury pool that's sitting there waiting. So it's reported because it's a frustration of the public. It's only one factor of what they're doing, not making a statement as to there being a good judge or a bad judge. It's a fact that we want the public to be aware of.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's
sort of
really,
reporting.
really, really fair. Because we don't know. We don't know. The average person does not know what's going on. But, I mean, I also was reading that, they had one judge that was eating potato chips at the bench.